The best bettors use every piece of data to beat the book.
Great Scott!
Kyle Murray crunches the numbers to break down the models to help you get an edge at the window each and every week.
He's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
And now, your host, Kyle Murray.
What is going on, everybody? Kyle Murray from FTN Bets back again with another betting with a model video. I'm going to run through some of my favorite prop bets and how I got to those conclusions using the models here at FTNBets.com. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Feel free to throw a like and a subscribe button over here at the YouTube channel FTN Network. We really appreciate it. It helps us out a ton. Without further ado, let's get into the bets this week. We went 4 for 5 last week, and normally I do 3 or 4 bets. Sometimes I'll do 5. I'm feeling really good about an extra bet there, and the bet I was feeling most confident in last week was the Terry McLaurin bet. That was the only one to not cash. The Daniel Jones bet cashed with a little bit of luck there at the end. He got a little bit of garbage time run, but Javonte Williams cashed easily, Mark Andrews cashed easily, and then the other one I'm blanking on, but went 4 for 5 on the week. So looking to capitalize on that and carry over some of this momentum and keep it rolling. But without further ado, we got 3 more picks here this week. I didn't really find a lot of props that I loved, so I'm just rolling out 3 this week, but let's hop right into them here. Taking a look at the stat projections that I've just been updated. As you can see, October 22nd at 2:31 a.m. That gives you a kind of feel for what kind of sleep schedule I have and where I'm doing this video. I'm doing it just after I updated these, but let's hop right into pick number 1. We're looking for a cheapie here. We're looking for a one-play payday. We're looking for Matthew Stafford over 3.5 rushing yards. And I know there's some things to talk about with this Matthew Stafford pick here. So in 6 games so far this year, he's had at least 1 carry in all of those games. And that's kind of what you're hoping for on these types of picks, right? Where it's a one play type deal where you're thinking, it's kind of like a couple weeks ago when we did the Laviska Shenault play, right? You're hoping that he gets that 1 carry that goes for 4 yards here. So every game so far, 1 or more carry. Only 1 game so far, he's only had 1 carry. So we're talking 2 or more carries in 5 of 6 games so far. He has ran for negative yards in 3 of those 6 games, but he also has ran for double-digit yards in 2 of those games. Now, these are all scrambles. Matthew Stafford's not a designed runner by any means, and there's obviously a little bit of concern with the potential kneel-down opportunity at the end of the game, but 3.5 yards just isn't a lot, right? We're talking 1 7-8 yard scramble against a leaky Detroit defense, and this bet's feeling really strong, right? So even if you're considering, taking 2 or 3 yards off of the projection with some kneel down stuff, which is a bit random, the projection still is fine for this over at 3.5 yards. I believe the best spot I found this was on DraftKings at -105. But again, we'll take a look at the end and prop shop there. But again, looking for a little bit of a cheapie here to start us off. One play type deal where Matthew Stafford gets a little scramble. Again, not a design run play by any means, but we're looking for those scrambles. And the Lions defense, they can be beaten so many different ways. They're going to be able to be found them making mistakes. So I think 4 yards out of any quarterback here could be interesting, let alone a guy who has shown the willingness to run when he needs to. Not a guy that's going to be, looking to run by any means. But again, it's just 4 yards. This is all we need from Matthew Stafford here. Let's take a look at the next pick here. Staying in the same game, TJ Hockenson over 4.5 receptions. TJ Hockenson kind of reclaimed his stake there as the alpha receiver in this Detroit passing game last week with 11 targets and 28% of the target share. I have him for 8 targets this week and 5.5 or so catches. Matchup's tough, but I think that'll lead to more volume there for Hockenson, with obviously the Lions being projected by Vegas and by many people to be trailing in this game early and often because they are the much worse team here against the Rams. But I'm also assuming that we could see some Goff under pressure type plays where quick passes to Hockenson is the way to go. But even if that's not the case, Hockenson should be the first read on a lot of these plays because he's their best pass catcher that isn't a running back. It's that simple. The wide receivers here in Detroit aren't good, and Hockenson is good, so he should be getting many targets here. I am for 8 and 5 catches. And a lot of TJ Hockenson's targets are going to be targets that are more easily converted into catches because of the nature of his position. Tight end, more underneath routes, more safe, secure, safety valve type plays, not down the field shots like some wide receivers are going to have. His targets should be converted into catches more often than other potential wide receivers here or whatever. So on to my final pick of the night, Jamison Crowder under 51.5 receiving yards. So I know we don't really take many unders here. However, we've taken an under twice on this in this series, and we're 2 for 2. So maybe we should be looking at unders more. The Mark Andrews under cashed last week, under 5.5 catches, something like that. I think he had 4 or 5. But either way, who cares? Who cares how it cashed? It cashed. Jamison Crowder under 51.5 receiving yards. Now looking, this is basically betting on Jets dysfunction. That's pretty much it. And you're never feeling too shabby having to do that. You feel pretty confident banking on Jets dysfunction, especially against this New England Patriots pass defense, which is top 10 in DVOA against the pass so far this year. They're also 4th in yards per play. So there's not a lot of big playability here against New England. The Jets don't have a lot of big playability themselves. And Jamison Crowder, while he is probably going to either be 1A or 1B, maybe even the secondary option behind Corey Davis in this offense, he's still going to see, some targets here. I have him for 7 targets, but I'm just not really confident that he's going to turn this into a big yardage day against the Patriots. Projections have him for 44. This line, like I mentioned, at 51.5. So I like the under here on 51.5 from Jamison Crowder. Let's go ahead and head over to the prop shop. Take a look at some of these lines here. Starting off with a Matthew Stafford bet. Rushing yards all the way down here because no one cares about Matthew Stafford rushing yards. 3.5, 105 in 2 different places, DraftKings and BetMGM, minus 110 at Caesars. So I do prefer it at DraftKings or BetMGM. But, if you're only using Caesars, that line is totally fine with me as well. TJ Hockenson next. Over 4.5 receptions is where we're looking. Okay. Line's not the best. Do have some juice to handle, but I really like this bet. I have him for 5.5, and that projection might be a little bit low. I think if the matchup were a little bit better, obviously the projection would be higher. But I'm just not really. I'm feeling pretty confident in this bet, so I'm fine with that. Minus 141 there. I definitely like the line there for Hockenson. Now let's check out Mr. Crowder here. Not Jay, but Jamison Crowder. Under 51.5 looks pretty standard across the market. 51.5 in 4 different places, and between minus 110 and minus 115. So again, would prefer at DraftKings, but if you only have PointsBet or Caesars, totally fine with those numbers as well. Like I mentioned with the Jamison Crowder bet, you're banking on Jets dysfunction, and how easy is that, right? Like, how often do these guys really exceed? Maybe the shots fired will come back to haunt us there, but Jamison Crowder under 51.5 is one of my favorite bets of the week. If you guys want to check out more bets in my model, you can head over to the Stat Projections tab over at FTN Bets or FTN Daily, whatever one you see fit. We also have Jeff Ratcliffe's weekly player projections on the site now at FTNBets.com. And if you want to check out more of my bets as the week goes on, check me out at FTNBets.com in the bet tracker there. So appreciate you guys all tuning in. Again, like and subscribe over on YouTube. We really appreciate it. It helps us out a ton. Until next time, good luck, everybody, and we will see you next week.